Hello everyone, so we've tried to log back in again. Let's hope this time it works, because yeah, it's a bit difficult to do this again and again. I'm trying to get back in touch with Parikshit and if his network is better this time. Hello Rahul. I think we can have another one with Rahul next time. Okay, I'm just trying to get Parikshit back. Let's hope it works. I'm somehow unable to connect with him. Okay, I'll just ask Parikshit to do something. Please wait for a bit while I just try to connect back to Parikshit. So we're barely able to hear each other.
Hello. Hello, ma'am.
Can you hear? Is it better?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I don't know
Hello.
if it's my network which
Hi.
is
Yes.
causing a problem. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. I can hear.
Hello?
Hello. 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 Hello.
Okay, Parikshit, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Ha
Yeah,
ha.
great.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so yeah, so let's just continue with how we started.
Ha ha ha.
So can you just tell us about how you choose your optional? Did you take any coaching regarding that? And if coaching is necessary, so how do you choose an optional?
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, I have my degree. I have studied biological sciences, but unfortunately, biology as an optional is not offered by the UPSC. So, I had zoology and botany as the preferable choices. But one of my seniors, college seniors, who has also cleared the UPSC civil services exam, they recommended the anthropology as an optional subject to me. So that is how I was introduced to this subject. And I think to all aspirants who are having the problem of choosing optional papers, I think there are some criteria which people usually rely on while deciding of the optional. These find the topics and the whole syllabus of the particular optional paper very comfortable. They should be interested in it because they're going to go a long way with the optional. So I think that is one thing. That is, I think, one of the most important ways you can decide. One of the most important way in which you can decide optional paper. Apart from that, ma'am, I think it is also good to look out for possible guidance if there are. So there are some optionals which for which it is relatively difficult to find guidance. But say for instance, anthropology it is fairly easy to get guidance because a lot of people have taken it. And also another thing which I had kept in mind while deciding my optional paper was that how much it is helping in my general studies. So anthropology being a humanities subject, it helps me a lot while solving the general studies paper because I could always add an anthropological dimension to any answer that I was attempting. So that is one thing. And other one is that we can also look at how the scores are in the past years. So amongst the civil servant circle, I mean civil servant aspirant circle, we have this discussion of which optional is trending and which is not.
Was
So
scoring, yeah.
anthropology, yes, yes. So anthropology happened to be one such optional. So that is how I landed in this optional. But I think as far as coaching is concerned, I think that also depends on the candidate. I would say that if the candidate does not have any financial issues, does not have any time constraints, and likes to attend classes, then I think it is okay. It is always good to have take up optional classes, because it will always enrich your concepts. You will have new peer groups who are studying the subject. So I think I would recommend coaching if these constraints are not there with the aspirant. Otherwise, it is also true that you could always to take down notes from the market and read it on your own. But then you'll have to struggle a little, probably, because concepts might be new, especially if you have come from different streams, like say engineering and medical and science stream, and you're trying to grasp concepts of humanity. So that might be a little difficult when you start on initially. But that is how I'd like to put it as far as optional is concerned.
Yeah, I think you've really answered that adequately, because I get a lot of queries asking how do you jump from a science background to an arts optional. So I mean, considering how you have done it, so I think it's all right. There's nothing wrong. I mean, and as you said, if possible, coaching would be better in getting a lot of concepts cleared if you are not completely familiar with that. So, I
Yes,
mean, a
ma'am.
little bit about my optional was that I chose political science and international relations, even though I did my BA in history, but I did my MA in IR. So I felt that it was something which was very fresh in my mind and it was very familiar to me. So people also asked, do you choose on the basis of how much it overlaps with the, general studies portion? And I mean, yeah, it helps. I mean, that is not the only criteria, but it helps if it overlaps, because if you think about it, like for international relations, a lot of the India's foreign policy is also a part of the GS. So that sort of overlapped a little bit with my optional, so that was helpful. But otherwise, so it wasn't, I mean, difficult for you, right, to switch from a science background, because you mostly have had a science educational background, but to take up anthropology after that. So that was completely, well, did you struggle with it, or was it easy?
So the 2019 attempt that I gave this year, I gave it without any coaching classes. I did not attend any coaching classes, so it was fairly difficult when I started, because things were a little abstract. Because there are certain portions in anthropology, for instance, like there is anthropological theories, which is fairly abstract, and it is difficult to grasp those concepts coming from a science background, because they talk on a different dimensions, which are not really objective at some point. So it was difficult initially, but I was lucky, because I had a lot of friends who had taken up this subject as the optional, so we could discuss, and I consulted them, we discussed, we cleared doubts of one another. That is how I think I made that subject easy to a certain extent. And
Okay.
also anthropology is not entirely humanities, because there is some aspect of life sciences also in it, like almost like 30-40% syllabus is basic genetics and biotechnology. So this was something which I had studied in my college. So not everything was new. I only had to extend. I had only think those concepts in new dimensions, socially, culturally. So that was it. But to put it in simple words, I think it was difficult fairly when I started, and I was finding it difficult. But you have to find ways in case you are stuck in such a difficult spot. You have to find ways to solve that problem.
Okay. Would you recommend coaching? I mean, for people who are just starting out, would you recommend it, or do you think it's possible to clear this exam without coaching at all?
Huh. So, ma'am, like I said earlier, coaching always helps to improve your concepts and get a deeper understanding, and get those small nuances which we might not notice if we study it on our own. But again, I mean, coaching has to be thought. Like we can decide whether we need to take up coaching classes or not, depending on those factors which I listed earlier, like say financial constraints, time, if you're not interested in attending classes, because eventually it is your own effort, your own revisions that is going to take you, because spoon feeding won't work in this exam. You have to anyways revise, go back and revise those classes, otherwise it'll simply pile up. So but if you're not having time, and you're only attending classes and not able to revise them, then it's a waste of money and time equally. So I think that the aspirant has to take that call by himself or herself. But as far as I think, in my opinion, I think if a candidate has studied up till class 10 level science, social science, English properly, I think it is not difficult for a person to attend these to attempt the paper without any coaching classes. Also, it might this is something which may cause which may be related to piracy. But right now there are a lot of videos available in Telegram. There are also many channels in YouTube which has a lot of lectures uploaded. So you can always refer to these websites and YouTube channels to clear your doubts. That is what I did also. I mean, I always used to go to YouTube and search those doubts, and there are very good lectures. But then again, you have to strike a balance. It is not that you should just go lost in all these videos, just because just there are plethora of videos online. So you shouldn't just go on watching them. You should know where to draw a line and draw a limit. And yeah, I think that balance somewhere has to be struck again. But otherwise, coaching has to be, the decision has to be taken by the candidate themselves.
Yeah, that is completely true. I mean, it's really up to you also. You have to be able to analyze how much you know and how much you're willing to or able to do on your own as well. Could you also give us, a little bit of insights on current affairs? Like, how did you prepare for current affairs? What kind of sources did you use? Did you have a separate, I mean, did you read newspapers regularly? Did you make notes? So anything regarding that?
Yes, ma'am. So, current affairs, I would like to divide this into two portions, prelims and mains. So, for prelims, I did not make any notes per se, but I used to make small notes while solving tests. If I find something new which I haven't read before, then I just write it in one line or something just to remember those things. That is what I did for prelims. I did not make any notes, but as far as mains is concerned, I did make notes. I collected statistics, I collected data. I used to collect case studies and all news items which I think I could use in my answer to enrich my answer, to strengthen my argument. That is what I did. But then again, I tried to strike a balance. It was not that I simply kept on collecting data. No, that I did not do. I knew that, say, for instance, if I had collected a data on, say, primary education, then I would try to ensure that I do not have redundant data on my notebook. If I have one data on primary education, that's it. I will not. So in future, if I have any more data on, if I see more data on primary education, I wouldn't write it down. So that is what I did. And also you need to revise these statistics, these examples again and again, because at the end of the day, you need to remember these while sitting in the exam. You need to recollect these. So you need a lot of revision, and these are very prone to mixing up, because these are numbers at the end, and it is very difficult to memorize them. So you need to, but you cannot bluff. Also, you cannot bluff. You cannot write fake data. So that is one you need to revise again and again. And as far as sources are concerned, I think for prelims, I refer to an online YouTube channel called Only IAS. So Only IAS uploads prelims discussion videos. So that is mostly current affairs based, and they also upload editorial discussions. But the lectures are in Hindi. So you need to be comfortable in Hindi to watch those lectures. So I didn't read, even if I read newspapers, I read newspapers regularly. Newspaper is absolute must, and that is from where I used to collect these case studies, examples, data. That is from where I used to collect. And I didn't read the editorial section much, because I wanted to save time, and instead I used to watch this online Only IAS videos, especially the editorial discussions. And I tried to remember then and there, try to recollect, and then I'd come back and write it down on my notebook, those whatever points, analysis that they had written in the editorial article. I would write it down and make small notes. And ma'am, I'd also recommend that at least this is what I tried. I tried to make very, very short notes, very crisp notes, and the handwriting need not be legible. I mean, it is only your notes. You don't have to share it to anyone else. So if you can read it, that's good enough. So I used to make very short notes. I used to set a target that I will not exceed certain amount of word. So that is what I did. So I used to make notes, and I used to listen to this video lectures regularly. They upload the video every day. And current affairs also, I read Vision IS prelim, sorry, the monthly compilation. I read the whole year. I read, but I also referred only IIS prelims discussion. I just used to hear them, listen to them while I'm going on the way, while I'm traveling. So that is what I did for current affairs.
Okay, great. So, did you have any strategy, or how to manage time? Did you have a timetable? How do you keep track of that whether you finished certain portion, or so anything regarding that?
So, ma'am, I wouldn't say I had a very, I did not have a very elaborate timetable, but all I can say is that while I was preparing in Delhi, all I had in my mind was UPSC. I was not thinking of anything else, and I'm also fortunate enough that my family supported me in it. I did not have any, any other problem, so I only had to worry about only about the UPSC exam. I may not be sitting in front of the book, but my head is only thinking about UPSC. Whenever I go out, that is what we discuss with friends. If there's any political issue, anything which is happening around the world, we'll discuss. So that is one thing. So and study, I do not have like I do not take it in terms of time, like how much I study. I think it is more of like how many topics have I covered, how well have I understood these topics. I think that is how you should gauge. Not there shouldn't be a specific time, but it's good to have time and bring up the regularity and discipline. But I did not have a very elaborate timetable.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I know people keep asking me how many hours do you study, or how many hours, do candidates study? But I feel like there's no such thing as how many hours. I mean, it's basically how much you're able to finish. Yeah. So how much you're able to accomplish, and
Yes, ma'am. I agree with.
how much you've decided. So it really
Mhm.
doesn't matter whether you study for, you know, 13 hours, or, just 6, 7 hours. I think it's adequate. And I think as human beings, we need to take breaks also. It's not possible to just study for 5, 6 hours on a break. I mean, I think it's always important to take breaks, eat something, take a walk, listen to music, do something you like, talk to a
Yes,
friend.
ma'am.
So I think that's all that is necessary as well. And another thing which I wanted to, I mean, I get a lot of these questions like how to, tackle mains answer writing, and
Mhm.
how to evaluate your papers when you are practicing. Do you give it for evaluation to someone, or do you self-evaluate it? How do you do that?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, I'd say for mains, I think practice, practice, practice. I think that is what I would say. You need to do a lot of practice answer writing, especially if you are coming from science stream, because we are tuned to writing very short, very objective answers, and we are not tuned to writing akin to writing a lot of lengthy answers, which UPSC demands. So that is one thing you need to practice a lot. You need to have confidence. So I enrolled for a test series for mains, and I used to write those tests. Initially, I struggled a lot because I didn't know what to write. I couldn't even complete the paper on time. So you need to go through that phase. And as I said earlier, I used to collect these case studies, examples, data. So that is how you can always enrich your answers. And I think it's okay. I mean, a candidate who is starting afresh, it is very normal for you to not be able to write any answer because we don't know much. So it is very normal that you won't be able to write any answer. It is okay, but at least give it a try. You can try writing some answer on your own. Then you can refer to some sources and try to see where you can improve, what dimensions that you did not think of, what were the dimensions that you were missing while you were. So that is how you these ability, I think, in my opinion, develops gradually as you practice. So that is one thing. And I think when you read all these newspapers, these TV news debates, that is how you gather points. So I think people should not lose heart when they are not able to write the answer when they start up. It is normal. You will not be able to write, but as you develop your knowledge further, these things will change and you will be able to eventually write the answers. But you please do not get demotivated. I mean, everybody has to undergo this phase. Otherwise, it is very difficult to get through mains. That is how I would like to put it, ma'am.
Great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that is really true. I think it's really important to not get demotivated and discouraged because you're struggling. I think the whole point of this exam is that how you overcome it and how consistent you are, and how much you're able to push yourself. So, but also not to take yourself too seriously. I feel that you need to also keep yourself mentally and physically, I mean, safe. I feel that you not should not sacrifice these things. So
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
just to put in a fun question, I mean, did you take up any hobbies or anything to just relieve the stress, and how to manage the the uncertainty? and the stress, anxiety that comes with this exam?
Mhm. So, ma'am, I think in my preparation, my friends have been a very important part of it, and we have many breaks in the whole day. Like we have a lot of chat time. We used to go to the park, eat something, chat a little. So that is how you take reprieve from all that stress and burden of reading the very big syllabus of this exam. That is one way. Also, I have my own fair share of hobbies. Like I like to cook. I watch a lot of documentaries. I also, involve myself in bare minimum exercises. I don't practice yoga so far. I am trying to explore that option as well, but I haven't been able to. But yeah, I do a little bit of, exercises. I have not enrolled in any gym, but I do bare minimum exercise. So that is how, I mean, you need to find ways of recreation and ways to, entertain yourself in the midst of this preparation. And what activity you choose is up to you to decide.
Yeah, definitely. Whatever gives you joy and whatever makes you feel
Yes, ma'am.
happy. So
Yes,
that
ma'am.
is there. Can you just tell us what mistakes you think you committed in your first attempt and how did you get it right the second time?
Ma'am, I think in my first attempt, I lacked a lot of understanding because I was doing my master's thesis also, and that was a load in itself. So UPSC juggling these two was very difficult. But I would say that the sort of reading, the basic reading that I had covered during my first attempt, helped me in getting a better insight while I was preparing after I finished my college. So not everything was in vain. But I think in my first attempt, I lacked the understanding, the clarity of concepts which the exam demands. But I would not say that I did not make any mistake in my second attempt as well. I think there's another thing which I would change if in case I give an attempt again. I think there's another thing which I'd like to change is that I would believe a lot in myself because throughout my preparation I was questioning myself throughout that I will not clear this exam. I could not believe, I do not think that I was worthy enough to clear this exam. I felt that the exam was very, very difficult. So in that process, I wasted a lot of time. So that is one thing. In case I give a third attempt, I will not think this. That is what I thought, that I will always focus my energy on clearing my doubts or solving the issues rather than just simply, wasting time thinking that the exam is very difficult.
Yes, I think that's really true. I think the whole when I was also giving this exam, I was wrecked with insecurity, anxiety, self-doubt. I seriously did not believe I would get through at all. And I don't know how, I think it probably happens to everyone, like you said, because I'm just reminded that, I can't believe I was so insecure at some point. At that time, hated in the sense that I didn't want to meet anyone, did not want to go in, because I felt I was so unworthy and I used to think I was so stupid. So I don't know. I think it's the rite of passage, maybe. I don't know, something akin to
Probably,
that.
ma'am.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, once, I don't know, maybe you've given it or you get older, so it gets better. But definitely when I was also giving it, I was also full of doubts, self-doubt. And I spent a lot of time just sulking around and just making, wasting a lot of time. But yeah, so another thing, I think everyone will be very interested to hear about how your interview was and, what
Yes,
kind of
ma'am.
questions did they ask? Was it comfortable? How long was it for? What did you wear? So all that.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, so this interview was something which I was waiting for my entire journey because I never thought I'd go that far, that I'd be able to present myself in the interview board. So I was very, very excited. I was equally nervous. I was filled with anxiety because obviously you're going in front of very well experienced people and they're there to judge you in a way. They're there to judge your personality. So there was a lot of nervousness also, but I think the activities which I had done so far in my career, like in my educational career as a student, that helped me a lot because I had that confidence in me that it's okay. Eventually, it's just an interview at the end of the day, and they're just there to know you. So I just wanted to be myself. That is what I did. I just tried just be yourself. Don't fake around because those people are very, very experienced. They know a lot. They know they can capture a lot of non-verbal gestures and movements. So that is there. So I just try to be yourself. And I also attended some mock interviews. So that helped me a lot. That helped me refine my conduct to a great extent, I'd say. So that is there. And my interview questions were fairly varied, but around say most of the questions did come from the Northeast and Manipur. The interview board were made me very comfortable. They did not take any stress interview as such, which we heard a lot about. Like while I was preparing, we hear all these wild stories of the chairman, stressing, giving you some sort of anxiety and stress during the interview, which was not the case. Which was not the case in my interview. So that was there, and I was adorned in the best of suit. I had never I had very rarely worn suit and tie. So that is what wore, and I was very happy to see myself in that avatar. So it was a very nice experience, and I had made up my mind that regardless of how my interview goes, I'd come out happy. I'll walk out happy from the UPSC building. That is what I had thought. So I clicked a lot of pictures. So I had my mom also with me. So we clicked a lot of pictures. So I did not want to spoil that, whole and the whole moment. But yeah, then even eventually when I came back to my room, then I started to overthink my conduct. Ki, ha, I made this mistake. I should have told this. I should have told that. No, I shouldn't have mentioned this. So all these things went. So yeah, but I think that's a part of this exam, I suppose.
Okay. Can you just tell us a little bit about what questions did they ask you, and
Yes, ma'am.
how did you answer?
Uh, so, uh, so there were some questions from my college life, like why were IISERs built? What are the career opportunities of IISER? Few questions also came from my biology background. There were questions on biofertilizers, organic farming, bioterrorism. Then coming to Northeast, there were questions like whether people from Northeast face racial attack when they come to other parts of the country, and is it vice versa? If people from other parts of the country come to Northeast, do they face racism? Do you think there is also a racial attack on the Southerners, the South Indian people? So there was one question as such. Then there was some question. There was one question on why there is animosity between the hill tribes and the valley tribes. There was one question on conservation of Loktak Lake. So there was a it was a very diverse question set, and there was also so I think there was also one question on the status of women in Manipur. So that was also something which struck me a lot because I thought a lot on that question after I left the room. Yeah, so these were some of the questions that were asked to me.
Okay. Okay. Sounds like a very interesting, bunch of questions. And I remember when I also entered, I was like, really nervous because firstly they told me that the chairperson, which I was assigned to, was really strict, and I'd heard, a lot of that he really
Okay,
stressed
okay.
people out. So I was
Ha ha ha.
scared as hell when I entered. But luckily, I don't know, they were very like normal and nice. They made me feel very comfortable, and they just asked, started asking questions normally. So I felt quite good about it. Like when I came out, I felt satisfied. So yeah, I think one good thing is that I don't, once something is done, I don't worry about it too much. I feel like,
I
what's
think that's
done
very
is
good,
done.
ma'am.
There's nothing I can, yeah. So even
Correct,
after
correct.
exams, like I never go and check, did you do this answer? Did you do that? So I think in that way, for me, if something's over, it's over, there's no point. Like, but doesn't
Correct,
mean
ma'am.
that
Correct.
I thought ki everything went well. I probably thought I might have to give it again. So I mean, it really, it's not about how, it's not like I feel very confident, but it's just I feel like okay, it's over. So yeah, that's got, that's done. Um, so any questions which I was, people keep asking. So how did you collect a book list? People ask like, how did you make a book list? Do you check it do the coaching, institute give it to you, or do you make one for yourself? So how do you do that?
Mhm. So, ma'am, when I started my preparation in college, so there's this YouTube channel called Unacademy. Right now, it's a full-fledged coaching portal. So they gave a book list. So that is what I initially started with. But then I had to modify the book list to my own comfort because I found some books I read, I wasted time, I did not like it. So I had to change the book source. Then I came to Delhi, then I talked to people around. So that is how, so this is a continuous change. I mean, there's no specific book list except for Polity Lakshmikant, which is like the Bible.
Yeah.
Otherwise, other books are subject to change. I mean, other books for other subjects are subject to change, and so that is why I did some amount of hit and try, and that is how I came down to a list which I thought is fairly comfortable for me. That is how I arrived to the book list for the static syllabus.
Okay. Okay, great. I think yeah, everyone needs to improvise based on your preferences, and
Yes, ma'am.
how easy or difficult you find it, because sometimes even though people say this is the book, I mean, apart from Lakshmikant, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
nothing else is, that important. I mean, you can always find a better version or an easier version, if you find it
Yes, ma'am.
difficult to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So so we'll just try to come to the end. I think we have talked for quite a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so can you just tell us any fun things about yourself, anything you want to do now that you have, been selected? So anything which you feel and you want to share with everyone.
So right now, I think I was never expecting this result, and I am very, very happy. I'm very happy, and I am always very, I feel very blessed, and I always thank God that it made my journey. I was successful enough to reach this far, and I'm very grateful. And I hope I do good. I mean, I will try my best to whatever service I'm allotted to. I hope I'll do good and you know give justice to the responsibility that is given to this particular job and the kind of regard which people give. I mean, I had never faced such attention ever before in my life. I mean, just upon clearing one single exam, I mean, I had garnered so much of attention. So, I mean, people have a lot of expectation from the services. So, I hope to, do justice to this expectation. I think that is what I'd like to put it. And I am fairly boring person. I do a lot of cooking, but yeah, I think people would find me a fairly boring person. I don't do anything much exciting. I think I will change that also once I join the services. Yeah.
Oh, I don't think you're boring at all. I mean, I think I also think I'm really boring and like normal. I spend the whole day just reading books or something. So people will be like, what is wrong with her? So normally, but I think everyone has their own quirks and, their own way of doing things. Last thing, what kind of
Yes, ma'am.
advice would you give people from the Northeast, because
Mm-hmm.
we see that the representation of people from the Northeast is quite less.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think apart from Assam and maybe Manipur also a little bit, other states don't produce consistently, rank holders. So
Mm-hmm.
for those who are preparing from the Northeast and who are not able to afford coaching, who are preparing
Mm-hmm.
from home, what
Mm-hmm.
advice and what kind of tips would you like to give?
Ma'am, firstly, I'd like to tell all the aspirants, not just for civil services exam, but for all the students who are, seeking different career choices. I'd like to say that please do not be demotivated, do not be, demotivated to pursue your dreams. And nobody is judging you on the basis of your place of origin or where you come from. If you are talented, if you have the skills which a particular job demands, I think people will be happy to hire you. So please, so the core attention should be on developing those skill set which is required for any particular job or any other dream career that one is pursuing. That is one thing. Other thing is that, ma'am, I'd like to uh, call upon all the people, the northeasterner people, that I think we need to create the environment, the competitive environment, which I think is lacking to a great extent in our society. If we go to metro cities, if we go to coaching hubs, we see that competition, and that is where we also feel that, I mean, we are also a part of this competition, and we need to work hard for this. So we need to make that competition visible. So I think that environment has to be created in this spot also. And the other thing is that I think we need to work a lot on developing our personality, a lot of developing other forms of ways to explore our skill set. Like, say, we need to organize a lot of extracurricular activities. There are a lot of clubs in our society, especially when we talk about Manipur. There are a lot of clubs, there are a lot of local clubs. So a lot of emphasis can be given on organizing activities by these clubs, so that students are able to have some avenues where they can explore their skill set and also develop the ability to face the public, or be fearless when they go outside the state. So I think these are a few things which I like to mention here, ma'am.
Okay, lovely. Okay, thank you so much for your time. I mean, we went through a lot of glitches in the beginning, and I hope it did not irritate, the viewers. But
Yes,
I'm so
ma'am.
happy that finally we could talk, with like someone normal connection. So yeah, I'm so happy and
Hmm.
congratulations once again, Parikshit.
Yes,
So
yes,
happy
ma'am.
for you.
Thank
Okay,
you
and
very
I'm
much,
sure
ma'am.
that
Ma'am,
you'll do whatever in whatever career,
ma'am,
and
and
whatever.
ma'am, just one
Yes.
last thing, ma'am. Ma'am, you are an inspiration in itself to the entire youth of Manipur. While I was preparing, I mean, there were beacons of light like you, and there are many other civil servants. I mean, civil servants who have cleared the UPSC. They were the inspiration, and showed to us that yes, this exam is conquerable. I mean, eventually, I mean, we all are human beings, and if you can do it, I can also do it. So that was the kind of idea which was there, and I hope that sort of inspiration is very much required. The competitive environment that I mentioned of earlier. And thank you very much, ma'am. I mean, you were very, you and many other civil servants were very, they were very motivating and a very important aspect of the entire journey, I would say.
Okay, thank you so much, Parikshit. Okay, bye bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night, madam. Good night.
Good night.